All right, all
Mhm.
right. Been there before too. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining today, the Authors and Writers 101 session. It's been this is a good time to write, especially if you find yourself in a situation that I found myself in a couple years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the agenda for today. This is 3 days. So today we're going to go over what is WRAP. We're going to do some brief introductions, and since it's only 2 of us, this should be easy. We're going to talk about getting started. We're going to discuss writer's blocks. We're going to discuss writing topics, the writing process, length of time, and we're going to answer some questions and have some, if you have comments, I'm willing to answer those as well. All right, so let's start with who I am. I'm the author of Limitless Warrior. Let me pull my book out over here. It's the book that I wrote 2014. I published my first poem in 1999 in this book. So I start, you can't see it because it's green, but see, Beneath the Winter Sky. I published this one poem in this book. It's called He Is, and that was in 1999. And that's how I kind of started writing. I would always write poems. And so one day I decided to get one of my poems published. I also had a poem published with the National Library of Poetry in 1988. It was like a little poetry competition I joined, and I just wanted to write. And so over the years, from 1999 up until 2014, I wrote a whole lot of different things. And so one day I found myself in a similar situation as today. I was actually didn't have work. I wasn't fully and gainfully employed. So I had plenty of time on my hands. And I took that time to write. So if you find yourself in this situation, in this point in time where you have time on your hands, why not be useful with your time and write? And so that's the reason why I started this session, because I was thinking in my mind that there are plenty of people that may have time on their hands, always desired to write and just didn't know how to get started. So in 2014, I wrote this book. And then I also had a spinoff of From Overcoming All Things Through Christ Jesus, The Guide to Being a Limitless Warrior of Freedom, to a teenage book, Overcoming All Things Through Christ Jesus, can hardly see it here, Be a Limitless Teen in Christ. And what was the interesting thing is that my son, he was inspired to write too, because he saw me writing all the time. And he was like, oh man, I want to write. And so he wrote a kid's book. This is nice. His kid's book. And I co-authored, and I drew the pictures in it. So I did the illustration for his book, and then it spin off. And there was a spin-off to a workbook, so kids can buy crayons, crayon packet, and a little coloring book, and it comes in a bag. So he wrote his first book at 10. Writing can be a difficult task. I think originally when he saw me writing, he thought it was going to be super easy. And he has decided not to write since. It took him 6 months to write his book, but he really saw that it did take work and it did take time. After that, in 2015, I wrote this book, Daddy's Precious Angel. This is a novel. It's 300 pages long. And then I got this crazy idea to turn the first book into a Spanish written book. Don't ask me to say it because I can't. It's in Spanish. And so that's my experience with writing books. I do have some future books that I'm going to be working on, financial books with my husband. I have a kid's book that I was thinking about writing as well. So that's my background. And I just wanted to give you a little short definition of what WRAP is. So what is WRAP? WRAP stands for writing. This is the first part of the writing process. If you think about the writing process, how do we get through publication? Well, you first have to write. You have to get your ideas in your head, your vision, and you put your ideas on pen to paper. It doesn't do well if your ideas are stuck in your head. So you have to begin to write. You have to begin to strategically put this information together so you can tell your story and build your manuscript. A lot of times I meet people, they say, oh, I have this great book that I'm writing, and it's awesome, and it's going to be a bestseller, and I just have a couple questions. And the first question I ask them is, have you started writing? And they always say, no, not yet, but it's in here. So we got to get it from here to here on paper. So that's the biggest challenge for people. The next step is review. So once you've written your manuscript, go back and reread it. Go back and add in little details, take things out, see if it makes sense. See if you have more than one book. Maybe the ideas aren't flowing and you realize, hey, this doesn't quite go here. Let me put this to the side and focus on this. Once you read it and you reread it, have a friend that you trust read it as well. I suggest that you go through the copyright process once you feel like your book is in that place where, hey, it's close to publishing, and send it off to an editor. Once you finish that, this is where you can take action and start laying your book out, being creative with your cover page, seeking a professional, I guess, graphic designer. And then you will move to the publication, this is about self-publishing. So I'll take you through the self-publishing process as well. So right now we're going to focus on writing. There are 3 more sessions I'm going to do on review, the action, and publish. So everyone is in a different place in writing, right? So this is the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell me where you are in the W.R.A.P process. Let's start with Jada.
I'm still, well, right now I'm typing out my idea. Really, I'm just typing it out.
Okay.
That's
okay. Good. So this is perfect for you. You're writing this you're in the writing process. Susie, I think you're typing. So let me see.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't finish typing before I sent a message. Okay, I have an idea for a book, and it's a collaboration with some other ladies. So I kind of have like the whole thing outlined, so to speak, and the chapters I'd like to have, and about how much information each person would have to provide, as well as what the topic is.
Okay.
And kind of like an outline.
Okay.
But I haven't actually written specific sentences, so to speak.
Yeah. And John, I see you on mute. Can you unmute yourself and tell me where you are in the writing process? Oh, yes, chat does work. So you can type it if you like. Okay, that's fine. You can type it. No problem. Okay. So, oh, good. So you're in the review process. So that's our next session. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna have to work on that one. Okay. All right, so you're past the writing process, which is a good thing. Your wife is going to be editing the book, which is good too. So that's the review process, and that's my next session. So you probably will also want to join the next session about the review process as well. Okay, cool. All right, so now let's start talking about getting started. Okay, so I would suggest a brain dump. Just doesn't matter what the idea is. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter the topic, just write it all out. And I see that, Jada, you started some things. So, yes. So you were probably going to be more focused on trying to gather your ideas together, make sure they're strategically aligned. Okay, so I'm just going to...
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, quick edit. I just wanted to say, usually I have this idea for a character, and then like I'll just write down like everything about them or whatever, and then I try to like sometimes put them in the book, and if they don't, well, in my story, and if they don't work, I'll just put them aside and just do that later. That's how usually my writing process usually goes.
Okay.
Or characters that set up. So.
Good. And that's how mine is too. That's called unstructured brainstorming. It's unstructured. It's just writing free will. And that's pretty much what I do as well. Oh, there's someone else coming in. Hold on. All right. So write out your ideas no matter what the topic is. I would continue writing regardless of what it is. Just keep writing because you can use that information in a story later.
Right.
It might not fit this current story, but continue writing. And if you're a person that likes to draw the scene out, visualize the scene in your head and create a story based upon whatever scene that pops up in your head.
Okay.
You can also use, for as far as typing is concerned, voice to text. Has anyone ever heard of like Dragon Naturally Speaking or anything like that?
Yes, my mom introduced it to me.
Good. Let's see here. Yep. Okay, good. So I loved voice to text because there was a period of time where I was just tired of typing. So I needed to figure out a quick, easy way to get the information out. So I used Dragon Naturally Speaking. There's also Google software that does it as well. If you have an iPhone, I know I do. If you have a cell phone, there is voice to text. And you can open up a little notepad in your cell phone and just start typing texting or voice texting whatever you want to have written in your book. And that's what I like to do. If I'm sitting around, I'll pick up my phone, I'll click on the little microphone and just start talking and get the ideas out. So definitely, if you don't have the software, there's other ways to do it because Dragon Naturally Speaking range from anywhere from $50 to I think $150. So depending on how much you're willing to spend on that tool. I would not worry about a title. I would just start writing. Sometimes people get fixated on what should I call it, and you spend more time thinking about what you should call it versus writing. And that becomes a distraction in the writing process. When you're writing, just let your mind flow freely. Don't worry about if it's perfect. Ignore the spelling, ignore the grammar, ignore the sentence structure. Don't worry about having the perfect sentence because you'll forget the next sentence. If you have thoughts in your head, you'll forget it. So I suggest just kind of like regurgitate and get it all out on paper and then go back and worry about the sentence structure later. Always carry a notebook just in case an idea popped in your head, and always be creative. The biggest thing about the first part of W.R.A.P is just to write. And a lot of time I find people that they're stuck on writing. They just can't figure out what to write about. And that's where writer's block comes in. Help, I got writer's block. I don't know what to write about. I don't know how to get started. Well, there's a couple reasons why writer's block occur. It could be because there are other issues going on in your life that's taking up your mental capacity to think, to focus and write. Maybe it's finance, maybe it's your health, maybe you got family issues, maybe you're just all out stressed. And some of these issues can be resolved quickly, but some of them can't. And so what do I do when I have these life issues, but I need to write? I have to write. I want to write. Write about your issues. This is just to get you started in writing. Write about the issues. Write about your frustrations. Write about what it is. I can't write. My mind is clouded. I can't think. You never know. That might be used in a book later. So even if you have whatever particular emotion that you're going through, write about that emotion, write about that feeling. And not only that, change your mind. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I will. I can. Don't try, just do. And I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to change your mind and know that you have to get your story out. Find a peaceful place to write. I know I heard Susie says she's created an outline to gather ideas and to get everyone situated in different parts of their pieces for the book, which is great. I think that allows you to focus, have each person focus on that particular area so that they can contribute what they need for the book. Writing together with someone can be a little tricky, especially when everyone writes at a different pace. But the key thing is to know, the key thing you need to do is just get serious about your writing and push yourself through the block. And this is how I get through a writer's block. My whole mindset is this: I want to leave my mark. I want to leave my mark on the universe. I want to leave my mark on the earth. I want to leave my mark on the world. I want to go beyond my family, beyond my friends, beyond the next generation. I want everyone to know I was here. I want everyone to know this story. I want everyone to know that I exist. And if you think about it, writings are some of the things that exist the longest amount of time. They are the longest known artifact. You can go way back to hieroglyphics, where different pictures and different writings. You know someone existed years and years ago and wrote that information. You can see it. So leave your mark. Always think about leaving your mark. How can I leave my mark in this earth? Push yourself. Take your writing seriously. And that's the way to kind of change your mindset and begin to focus and realize how significant your story is. Think about someone needs to get that information that's in your head out on paper, because it could be life-changing to them. It could be a story that's funny. It causes them to laugh. It could be a story that causes them to remember things in their past and drop some emotion or feelings and create a whole new mindset for them. You may even give someone an idea to solve a problem in a book that they had never even thought about. So I would suggest to push through the block and know it. Your writing isn't just for you. It's for everyone around you. And give yourself task yourself with specific times to write during the day. I definitely suggest that set some time aside and just sit there and just focus and think and write. Any questions on that?
No.
No.
Okay, so writing topics. What do you write about? So at the top, I have my little, this is kind of covering it. I am a writer. Anything you say or do may be used in a story. So think about that. Everything around you can be a topic. Anything around you can be a topic. Know that you are a writer, and what you see through the lens of your eyes is a story from your perspective. But a good writer can write that story from other views. So make sure you're able to see whatever it is, whether it's a cloudy day. A cloudy day could be a gloomy thing, but a cloudy day could be a happy, great thing, because a person hadn't even seen clouds in a long time. So take what you see and write it. Put it in a story. Write about your passions. Write about your hobbies, events in your life, things that fascinate you. And you can write about any kind of genre. So you can take that passion and you can turn it into a scientific book or a romantic book, a mystery book, any kind of book that you feel like that connects you. So the whole overall objective of this process is to get you to think about writing, because I find that's the hardest part for people to do, is just sit down and write. How long does it take? Well, that depends on you. It really does. It depends on how much time you devote to writing. Writing a book can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on the person. Here are some writers that we know. J.K. Rowling, she wrote Harry Potter. Took her 6 years to write that book. You have L.J. James, wrote 50 Shades, 1.5 years. But George Simenon, he wrote about 6,000 to 8,000 words a day. And so he took approximately 11 days to write a novel.
Wow.
That's commitment. That is true commitment. But as I did research on him, I found that for him, writing was breathing. He loved to write, and it gave him life to write. And so that's the reason why he was so passionate about writing. It was the way that he paid his bills. That's how he made his money. So he didn't have a choice but to write. And as a writer, if you're going to be a writer that's gonna be a well-paid writer, you're gonna have to get over the blocks, sit down, focus, and think about, this is how I want to pay my bills. So whatever's in needs to come out. And set an alarm clock, maybe like 30 minutes time frame to write. Don't worry about, you know, organizing your thoughts. Just sit down and get it done and write. And also write beyond the 30 minutes. Once you hear that alarm go off, 30 minutes, just keep going. See how long you can go. Just keep the ideas flowing. Keep it going. And I know for me, that's pretty much what I did. I would just start, and I'm the type of person, until I can get my whole thought written down, I can't stop. So I would just write until I finish that whole thought. And it just depends on who you are and how well you're able to sit down and concentrate and focus. Does anyone have any questions about this slide?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I wanted to leave a lot of time open for questions and answers, because I feel like I can talk about writing, but it's better for me to leave that some time for you guys to actually ask any questions that you have regarding the writing process that maybe I haven't thought about. So Jada, you're writing this book and you're getting the information together, and you're thinking about your characters. Have you thought about how many characters you wanted in this book?
Not really, actually. I only have up to 4 characters that are really the main focus.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Is this a novel or is it like a self-help book?
It's a novel.
A novel. Okay. So the novel that I wrote, Daddy's Precious Angel, I have about 7 characters in this book. They are of varying personalities, because Daddy's Precious Angel focuses on a young lady that works in a she's in a small group of people that she worked with. So her co-workers, some of them had to be described as well, and their personalities and how they fit together, things of that nature. I'm going to go over characters. As a matter of fact, let me show you what I'm going to go over tomorrow so you can get a better idea. Tomorrow, I'm going to go over brainstorming, character development, settings, plots, climaxes, drop-offs, and any questions and answers. I don't want to get too much into character development, because we will talk about character development tomorrow.
Okay.
But the key thing is, I wanted you guys to really just start writing. John is already in the writing process, and I think I have one other person that joined in, Angelisa. I believe that's her name, Angelisa. Okay, so I don't see her logged in. Maybe she's not logged in now, but just to get you started in writing. And it seems like to me, everyone here has already started the writing process, and which is a great thing. Susie, did you have any questions?
No, not really. Not at this point. No, I think I'm more interested in learning a little bit more about, once I have the material, like the next step with the self-publishing and so forth.
Okay.
The whole process. So I know that's a little bit more of a day 3, but.
Okay, so let's see what's going to be on day 3. I can go ahead and stroll there. Day 3. We're going to briefly talk about self-publishing. We're going to talk about the book titles, attention-grabbing backgrounds, cover, back pages, and self-publishing, and questions and answers. But even if you have some self-publishing questions, I mean, I'm willing to answer those questions now. So what questions did you have?
No, I don't really have them now yet, because I don't really know. I mean, I have several friends that have written books that I've met, and they're networking and so forth, but I've never had an opportunity to talk with them about it, how they went about the whole process. So that I really don't know anything other than what I've briefly read online.
Okay. Are you on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Have you joined any writing groups on Facebook?
No.
Okay. So I would suggest that you join writing groups on Facebook. I have done that, and there are quite a few groups out there, authors groups that you can join. And one thing I can say are people are very helpful on Facebook. There's a group called Amateur Writing Group.
Okay.
Authors, publishers, editors, book readers. It's another writing group.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you.
Yes, check out some of those writing groups. Many people are there. You'll find publishers there. You'll find editors there. You'll find a lot of people that are willing to help you through the process. For self-publishing, I actually self-published my book on using CreateSpace on Amazon. And so for me, the process was easy. Pretty much because I knew how to use the software, such as the different templates that they give you. You can pull down different templates to determine the size of your book, whether you have a 5x8 book or 8x11 book or whatever. You take the template, you put your book in the template, and then you're able to upload it. Pretty easy. Time is running out. Okay. We're removing the 40-minute time. Okay, so they removed it. Thank you. Okay, so I can go ahead and finish up this last statement, then I can get off. So my thought was, okay, yeah, so if you do your own cover and you have images, you can go to different places to buy the license for those images. Buy the license, and you can use those images on your book as long as you give credit to the designer or the artist. So that's a little bit about the covers, but yeah, CreateSpace, wonderful. I like them. It was pretty much close to nothing for me to do it. Only cost me the price of the book. This book originally, I'm gonna tell you how much it cost to make this book: $2.30. That's it. Yeah, $2.30. Wow. This one is a bit thicker. This one was $5. So yeah, so. It's a bit thicker. It's $5, $2. It really doesn't cost a lot when you self-publish. But I see that. Yeah. But the key thing.
I like that.
I know, I did too. Well, when I talked to publishers, they were trying to charge me $2,000 and $3,000.
Right.
It's a lot. So depending on how much skill and level of skill you have, you can get away with just paying $2, $3 a book. I did purchase my images. My images were about $15 a piece, you know, for the license. Not a lot of money. And the editing, let me tell you, that's going to be the most expensive. It cost me about $800 to get this book edited. Yeah.
Gotcha.
My second book cost me $1,500 to get it edited. That's going to be.
How many pages are in your first book?
My first book has 140 pages, 146 pages.
Okay.
And it's 5x8.
Yeah, I'm going to do a small one, like a 5x8, maybe 50 pages.
Yep. And the second book is 275 pages, and it cost me $1,500. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's going to end the session for today, since they gave me the time limit. But thank you so much for joining. And tomorrow we will be talking about brainstorming, character development, settings, plots, climax, and drop-offs.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So much. And I see someone chatting here. Oh, John, did you have any questions? Oh. Okay, reader feedback. I understand that beta readers, but I'm not sure the best way to check in with readers and get feedback from books. Is it worth going to get feedback as you go, or only once the work is complete? How do you figure out or avoid if you missed the mark with your work? Okay, reader feedback is interesting. You may not get the reader feedback. Reader feedback is difficult. You can do what I did. I actually, when I was on book tours and I did a lot of touring, I created a worksheet, and the sheet was like a form, and the person that bought the book or wanted to buy the book they filled it out, they put their name, their phone number, their email address. I asked them, did they want to be a part of my newsletter that I had coming out? And I asked them, once I contact them, could they give me feedback after they read the book? So if you get their information, like their email address, if they don't want, some people didn't want to give me their phone number, but if you get their email address and ask them, can you contact them later to get feedback on the book? That's one way that you can get the feedback. Is it worth trying to get feedback as you go as you're writing? I didn't do that. I waited until the book was completely done. And then I gave the book to a few of my friends to review. And they actually took the book, they marked in the book, they lined out what page, what was the mistake, and what page that I need to develop the idea a little bit more, what they were unclear about, if there was a misspelled word, and so on. Aside from that, I also had an editor. And if you get a good editor, they will tell you whether they like the book or not. I know for my first book, which is Overcoming All Things Through Christ Jesus, I went through a company and a woman, she picked it up. And because it was a Christian book, she was a Christian editor. She told me she enjoyed the book. She enjoyed the story. My second book, which was more of a novel, a gentleman picked it up and he gave me his feedback, which I didn't like so much, which was, it was a little predictable. Could I change up the plot just a little? Can I take out information so it can draw the reader in? So yeah, I think the company I used was pretty good as far as giving me feedback for my book. I hope that helps, John. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, either way you go about it, it's not incorrect. It just depends on what you're more comfortable with. I was more comfortable with making sure my work was complete before I gave it to anyone else to read. Okay. Any more questions?
No.
Okay, I don't want to belabor the time. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you on tomorrow. If you have any questions about today's session, please let me know. We can answer those on tomorrow.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Thank
gonna do a
you.
list.
Bye-bye.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Thanks to you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.